Well, the title says it all. I am a member of the Green Berets, the most prestigious fighters the United States has ever produced. This experience that I am about to tell you began during the viral outbreak. If you've heard of David Paulides and the missing 411 in Rwanda, you'll have a good sense of what we'll be talking about shortly. Our superiors briefed us on our assignment. Prior to the outbreak, there was an increase in missing person cases in this national park. I won't specify which part, but it was in rugged terrain. This story will be recounted from two perspectives, mine and my partner Nicola's. All right, everybody sit down, Sergeant Sidhapa instructed. The National Park Service and the White House have requested our aid in surveying Mississippi Park. To put it simply, we are entrusted with locating and eradicating whatever is removing people from this park. The base has been set up, and we have been asked to assist the FBI and its squadrons. We were told that 2 of their squads were slain overnight, and the president has requested military assistance. This mission is top secret, and no one is supposed to know about it. We have been kindly given everything we require to execute the objective. The national park and adjacent areas have been closed to the public, but this should not be an issue due to the stay-at-home order. This applies to all national parks. One of the numerous special forces' responsibilities is to eradicate this menace, which the White House has designated as a national security concern. We have been granted radar and will have air support on standby, as well as a Blackbird in the air to monitor your mission. You'll be given .50 caliber ammunition, armored Ford F-350 Humvees, satellite live communication, thermal and night vision, and the greatest firepower the U.S. military has to give. Fortunately, we received information from the indigenous community that borders the park. Your bullets have been dipped in ash, and any wretched beings we find will face the full force of the United States military. That being stated, you've got 24 hours to prepare for your assignment. Any questions? Good day. As the morning came, I prepared a cup of coffee, put on my gear, and headed to the base's meeting spot. We began our journey in our armored 4x4 Humvees and traveled to the HQ location deep in the woods, which took all day. We took the forest road as dusk approached. All right, man, keep a lookout, primarily the tree line, Nicholas said as we drove. Everything was okay until we noticed a pair of, otherwise, they started to follow our platoon. Don't worry, it's only a skeleton, but stay frosty, Nicola warned you. Don't worry, they won't assault us. A mess. The eyes are correct, Nicola added. That was nice, I guess, I replied. We neared the gate. The floodlights turned on as we entered. Once within the base, we exited and went inside. Now, I'd been to military bases before, but this was something new. The base was covered with fog lights and barbed wire fence, a net to keep anything outside the base out, not to mention towers with thermal heat sensors and .50 caliber machine guns, as well as many MPs patrolling the inside. The security at this site was something I would expect in the Middle East, not in the middle of nowhere in the United States. Once inside the building, we were instructed to prepare for an escorted patrol into the woods to check a cabin secured by a squad of FBI agents. We were called in as backup. When we got close to the cabin, we pulled security outside and drew our weapons. Roger, one of our squad mates, broke down the door. We combed the cabin and discovered one FBI agent hiding in the corner while this long, tall, skinny creature feasted on the other, now deceased FBI agent. The next thing I knew, Nicola had blown the creature's head off with his shotgun. We returned the surviving agent to base after thoroughly inspecting each room and determining that the cabin was clear. We questioned the agent. He continued, we were about to add to the cabinet when we heard movement in one of the rooms. As we approached, the door swung open, and that beast massacred my entire squad. I believed I was doomed when it approached me and talked. Know that you watched as I feasted until you were Yahweh's last son. Your fear will make you a delicious meal. He kept smiling while speaking, and I simply broke down. That's when you guys came in. My sergeant asked him, and the missing boy? I said, I'm afraid we were too late. He was already dead when we arrived. Day 2, another mission. We were dispatched to inspect a mountain where a ranger reported that during an overnight trek, his tent was assaulted by many faceless things that yelled such horrifying noises that he was petrified with dread and had to be airlifted the next morning. Apparently, the Rangers had an increase in missing person cases around the top, so we set up a false camp and utilized this same Ranger as bait. He was afraid, but knowing he had our support made him feel better. We positioned snipers, and the rest of my unit surrounded the tent. My good distance answer, Nicola remarked. turning on night vision. Around 1 a.m., we noticed movement. About 5 of those faceless men approached the tent. It began to make those noises, and we opened fire, snipers first, followed by the remainder of the squad. Those monsters attempted to flee but were greeted with the full might of my platoon. It's safe to say none of them made it out alive. Stay put, outside agency is approaching to recover bodies, Nicola declared. Now, my battalion was primarily there to destroy the threat, but we had no idea who this outside agency was or which branch of government they represented. All I know is that they picked up the dead, and individuals in black spoke with my sergeant, as did the commander at headquarters. "Whoa," I exclaimed, then chuckled. "Who the heck were those guys?" I spoke to Nicola. "No idea, but it's best that we don't ask any questions," Nicola said. As our missions became more troubling, I found it difficult to just do my job without knowing the specifics. Nonetheless, I am a soldier, and I have a task to do, which I plan to complete. My next mission was one of the worst I'd ever been a part of. We drove our Humvees to check allegations of a mutilated animal near a lake. It was popular during the park's regular hours, now that it was open to the public. When we arrived, the weather continued to worsen, and we saw the red color the lake was emitting, and then these unusual clouds appeared, crimson red, hovering over the lake. Roger became hysterical and out of control for some reason, and then he shot his .50 cal at the cloud, yelling, "No, you won't take me." And then, immediately after he shot, he was pushed into the cloud, and the weather became so awful that we couldn't see. As suddenly as it began, it came to an end, and Roger vanished. We weren't sure what to do, so we reported what happened to headquarters. Reported back, "Leave the area. Now." "I understand," my sergeant answered. We then returned with full force, including air support. We discovered Roger's body in fragments, drifting in the lake. The same unidentified agents returned to retrieve his corpse pieces from the water. Again, Nicola addressed my chain of command, a significant loss of a close brother in arms. I could not handle it anymore. When the agent was chatting with my commander, I walked in and demanded explanations. I knew I'd be in trouble, but I interrupted the meeting and argued, demanding to know what was going on, until the leader of this agency intervened. "It is good, Commander. This one here is one of your top soldiers, so we can inform him," Nicola explained. "I could only say so much, but what I can tell you is this. You were basically the first wave of forces to investigate these strange occurrences in the park, and then when the situation is deemed a threat, that's where we come in." "Okay, so if we can't fight off some evil weather out today, how the heck can you guys stop it?" I asked. "Oh, we're aware of this. Normally, your weapons are ideal for dealing with cryptids, but this goes beyond those small creatures. We have weapons, not to destroy, but to stop these sentient weather beings, which we believe are directed by extraterrestrials. The Indians talk about these events and the gods that govern the weather and how they stopped it with blood offerings. But when I say extraterrestrial, I am not referring to a small green dude. No, these are extra-dimensional beings who can enter and exit this realm at will. Our mission is to put an end to this, with the support of the military, of course. We intend to address this together." "So what do these extraterrestrials want?" I inquired. "We don't know exactly. We've captured some at various periods. They couldn't be contained until a team of physicists built a room that prevents those beings from escaping. These extraterrestrials tell us one thing, but we believe that if they are not completely honest, they perceive us in the same manner that we see animals in a zoo. We reduce these incidents by allowing them to abduct people." "Wait, you're okay with innocent people being abducted? But why would you be all right with this?" My commander interrupted. "That's enough, soldier," the agent remarked, placing his hand in a stop motion. "It is good, Commander. Look here, as far as we can tell, this is the best outcome until we figure out how to stop them. Currently, they are unmanageable. We will close the parks until it is judged safe for the public, but don't be shocked if we are called for missing persons instances." Now, I believed I didn't have to worry about you discussing this, right? It is unlikely that anyone would believe me. Don't worry about me, I simply wanted to know the entirety of my mission. "Well, that's something I expected from a decorated soldier such as yourself," she said. "Now, Commander, please accompany your soldier. I believe he deserves to relax after going through this ordeal." Before departing, I discovered a folder in a safe with more information than was provided to me. Apparently, we discovered evidence from Nicola's previous mission, which took place in Yosemite National Park. After questioning Nicola about this, he suggested that we chat in a more private area and that I leave my phone and anything trackable behind. We drove to a parking area near a neighborhood tavern, a few kilometers from Maze. To be clear, we arrived at this base, not the one in the jungle. So this is what happened, Nicola explained. My squad and I were tasked with conducting an investigation. We got into a massive gunfight, and 3/4 of my team died trying to apprehend one of these interdimensional entities. When they are in corporeal form, there appears to be a little window of opportunity to hurt them. We managed to knock it unconscious and confine it in a room from which the ET appears to have been unable to escape. Do not ask me how it works. I am not a scientist. The idea was thanks to a Russian physicist who designed the room. It basically stated that the cave was one of several connected to the mother cave. It alludes to itself as a fallen angel, claiming that if freed, its type will flee as the earth fractures, freeing Arma. I'm not sure about you, but that sounds like the Book of Revelations to me. It even stated that in the same year, a huge pandemic would strike the earth. Then, as the ET indicated, our military confirmed enormous heat signatures underground. The idea was to detonate a nuclear device. However, it was located right beneath Yellowstone National Park. Now, these beings appear to lie, and this was a falsehood because we needed to track the heat signatures, which did really indicate magmatic activity. Individual heat signatures were discovered in Alaska. One of our Special Forces units corroborated this. They discovered the mother cave and sent out a drone with a camera, and to our surprise, we saw more of these creatures that would make a Wendigo appear like a puppy. The military is sending a strong force to make some noise, Nicola added, but Anna and I don't know how the United States will fare alone against these things. So here I am, writing it out. People need to understand what is happening in these parks. The government and military have no control over these events. It's wise to keep away from the woodlands. I was granted a few weeks' leave, and when I returned, I was tasked with heading a squad on the following expedition. I am currently waiting for a flight to Alaska. Apparently, the Russians witnessed similar events in Siberia and traced the tunnel system all the way to Alaska. The United States and Russia have teamed together after discovering something that will rock our ideas even further. Until then, you should stay at home. The virus isn't the only thing keeping you out of the woods.